Hey guys, so a couple weird things just happened. One is that I just checked into the Anaheim Hilton. Two is that I just checked into the Anaheim Hilton wearing a Justin Scarred costume. Weird. Oh, I promised I wasn't going to use any catchphrases tonight. Like, it's just a costume. I'm not stealing his identity. Anyway, I wanted to show you the room before I mess it up. I feel like a lot of people do hotel reviews as they're checking out, and then it's like, oh, I've been staying here for a week. My room looks like Sid and Nancy have been living in it. Let me show it to you. So I'm gonna show you before I even do anything, and then I'm gonna go to Oogie Boogie Bash, and then tomorrow I'll tell you more about the room and the hotel and what I thought about it. Okay, I'm heading out, but I wanted to talk about the time it takes to get to the park. There are a few ways to get there. I'm gonna be walking, but there was like a lot of confusion in the research I was doing how long it actually takes to walk to the park. GPS I think said about 19 minutes. The person who checked me in at the front desk said 15 minutes, and right now GPS says 23 minutes. So we're gonna see how long it actually takes. Right now it is 3:42 p.m. and I will see you when I get there. Okay, so I'm here. After I got through security, it was 4:08, so right about 20 minutes. I was walking at a leisurely pace. I did slow down a couple times to take those videos, So I would say about 15 to 20 minutes would be an accurate estimate. Okay, bye.
Eventually.
Hi you guys. So as you can tell by my hair being a different color and also length, this is another video that I started filming a while ago and I'm finishing quite a bit later. So I actually thought about throwing this video out for one reason because I felt like it maybe didn't quite go with my channel, and two, because I would much rather post like a very positive review, and this one is maybe a little bit more negative. But I decided that I would go ahead and post it anyway because one of the main reasons I want to post Disney content is to help people kind of make the most of their trips and their budget. So hopefully this will be helpful to someone. If it was helpful to you, leave a comment and let me know. So anyway, I guess I'll start the review like at the beginning of my visit. The first thing that happened that was a little bit weird was as soon as I walked into the hotel lobby, I parked my car in the little garage, walked in, looked around, I'm looking for the desk to check in, and the first thing someone says to me is, "Are you looking for the bathroom?" Someone who worked there. And I was like, "No, I'm looking for the desk, I'm trying to check in." And she like paused for a second, like she wasn't expecting me to say that, and then she told me where the desk was. And I don't know, I could be overthinking this a little bit, but when it happened I was like, am I having a Pretty Woman moment? Like, does she not think I'm staying here? And I mean, honestly though, looking around, like I didn't look like the type of person who would stay there. I didn't realize that before I made the reservation, but most of the other guests were like, looked kind of businessy. They didn't look like the usual Disney crowd, which is kind of what I was expecting. And another thing kind of on that note is that a lot of the staff seemed a little bit down. And listen, I understand if you're working in customer service, there might be days where you're not giving it your all. Like I can give people a free pass on that, but it seemed like kind of the norm. Like every person I engaged with like just seemed a little bit frowny, you know? And in contrast to like Disney cast members and the kind of service you get at Disneyland and the Disneyland hotels, this was like, it was a little bit sad. So I guess I should tell you the reasons I chose Hilton for this particular trip. I don't live too far away from Disneyland, but I knew that it was going to be a long day and I was going to be ending Oogie Boogie Bash like late at night, and I probably wasn't going to feel like driving home, so I just booked a room. And the rooms I was looking at were kind of like in the $100 range, like $100 to $120. When you start going too much below that, you start seeing reviews about like insects and rooms not being clean, so I really didn't want to go that route. And I had seen rooms before at the Hilton and Marriott like in the $300 range and above, but for some reason this particular night they dropped down to like $120, $130, and I paid $128.82 for my room, plus $21 for parking. So this isn't somewhere that I would afford to stay like at full price, but because it was so discounted, it seemed like a nice opportunity to stay there. And I chose Hilton over Marriott for a few reasons. One was that they have a Starbucks in their lobby, which in retrospect I thought was a pro, but ended up being kind of a con because their Starbucks for some reason is more expensive than a regular Starbucks. So I booked brunch that day at Storyteller's Cafe, but I wanted to get like a coffee and something to snack on just like early in the morning. And I went and got a coffee and a bagel, and just a plain bagel with nothing, no extras, was like $4 something. And at a regular Starbucks, I think it's about $2.25 or $2.50 or something like that. So that was kind of a disappointing ripoff. Another upcharge that I was kind of surprised by is that this hotel doesn't have free Wi-Fi. You actually can get Wi-Fi if you join the Hilton Honors Club and you book through Hilton directly, which was too late for me because I had already booked through hotels.com. So there was no option available for me to get free Wi-Fi, and if I wanted it, it was going to be $12.95 a day. So the room itself was clean, that was nice. The bed was comfortable, but it wasn't like one of those overly comfortable cloud beds where you just like fall asleep immediately. And even though I did appreciate that it was very clean, it seemed like it could use a little bit of maintenance. Like for example, the little chair, the upholstery was a little bit worn down, and then the bathtub, which one of the reasons I picked Hilton also was because I wanted to take a bath. Like I don't get to take vacations very often, and so when I do these little 24-hour getaways, I like to have a bathtub and I bring a bath bomb with me and like relax. And the bottom of the tub was like kind of worn down, like it just wasn't as nice as I was expecting. See, this is why I almost didn't make this video. I really don't like to complain, but I feel like if you're someone who's coming to Disneyland and maybe you're planning a nice trip that you've saved up for, like you probably want to know this stuff, right? I guess now would be a good time to go over some of the other hotels I was looking at and maybe choices I wish I would have made. So the Hotel Indigo and the Wyndham Garden Hotel were right in the same price range, around $125, but they also have free parking, whereas the parking at Hilton was $21. So the only reason I was willing to pay more for parking was because I thought I was getting a nicer room, which didn't end up happening. So I kind of wish I had gone with the more budget-friendly option. Plus, I think the decor at Wyndham Garden and Hotel Indigo is kind of more my vibe. It's just more colorful and bright and modern, and they've both been renovated recently. So I think everything is just a little bit newer than the Hilton. Like, the Hilton lobby was beautiful, but the room was a little bit dark. They used a lot of browns. It kind of felt like an office. So yeah, as for the room, like, I just think I would have been happier with those other two hotels. Like, even though they're cheaper, I think they would have been nicer, or at least a better fit for me. And then let's just say, hypothetically, I am someone whose budget is $300 to $400 a night for a hotel at Disneyland, because I think that is typical for Hilton. Like, if I have that money to spend, I personally would much rather stay at one of the Disneyland resort hotels. I think the Grand Californian is pretty much always considerably higher than that, but sometimes you can find a good rate on their rooms. But I have seen Paradise Pier and Disneyland Hotel like right in that $300 to $400 range. And I just feel like what you get, you know, with the rooms, the property, the service, the extras, like you might, depending on the day of the week, you might get an extra magic morning, which is an extra hour in Disneyland before the park opens. If you buy merchandise in the parks, you can have it sent back to your hotel instead of having to carry it around with you all day. Oh, also, if you want to book a character breakfast in the morning, which I actually ended up doing, I was kind of surprised to have the next day off of work, so I was like, why not do a character breakfast? It took me over 45 minutes to get from the Hilton to Storytellers Cafe. They told me at Hilton that the easiest way to get to Disneyland was to drive basically all the way around the park, and there was traffic, and getting into the parking structure was hard, and then walking down to Storytellers, I think it took almost an hour. I have written down over 45 minutes. But I think it was closer to an hour, and I ended up being a little bit late for my reservation. Whereas if you're staying on property, you can just like walk down to where you're having breakfast, or just walk down to the parks. You don't have to worry about transportation too much. Although I will say that being able to use the Toy Story shuttle to go to the Toy Story parking lot and then walk over to the Hilton was super fast and easy and convenient. And I want to say it was even faster than taking the regular Mickey and Friends tram to my car. Anyway, that was kind of a side note, but back to my point is that if I'm saving up money to stay in a nice hotel, or maybe I'm just staying in a nice hotel anyway because that's how I roll, I would rather stay on property. Especially if you really want to kind of keep in that Disney magic throughout your trip. If you want to escape the Disney magic, if you're the kind of person that needs a break and get away from it, then maybe stay at the Hilton. But I'm not that person. If I have the money to spend on a hotel, I'm gonna stay at a Disneyland hotel. Oh, last thing I should mention about the Hilton, and I feel like I've said a lot of negative things about them, but something positive is that they have vegan options. So they have vegan rigatoni, and then they have Impossible Burger. And based on timing and also based on price, they're like pretty expensive. I had a feeling I wasn't going to be eating there, but I did email ahead just because I thought I would be making this video and I wanted to tell you about it. So they told me that the vegan rigatoni, and it's labeled vegan on the menu, obviously is a vegan option. And then I asked about the Impossible Burger because I was like, it's not labeled as vegan. Is the bun vegan? Is there like some reason that it's not vegan? And their food and beverage coordinator emailed me back, and she said that it wasn't vegan, but it just in the last few days of me sending the email had been made vegan. So that's another option. And I didn't end up eating there, but I could see how that would be a pro, especially if you're going to be staying a few days and you might want to have a quiet room service meal back at your room. Okay, so I think that's it for my review. Hopefully someone found it helpful, and if you have any comments or questions, go ahead and let me know in the comments. And if there are any other Disney related experiences that you would like me to review in the future, let me know that too. All right, see you in the next video. Okay, I'm back. There's one other thing that I wanted to tell you, and it's really just anecdotal. I wouldn't consider this part of my official review, but maybe it's relevant to you. I don't know. Like, if you're the type of person who gets freaked out easily, maybe it's relevant. So basically, as soon as I got to my room, this was before I filmed a little room tour that was in the beginning of this video, I put my stuff down, like looked around a little bit, walked around to the side of the bed where the little nightstand is, and the drawer was open. Like the drawer with the Bible in it. It was just, the drawer was open, Bible right there looking at me. And I was like, that's kind of creepy and weird, but also funny. Especially because I was already feeling kind of awkward and weird and out of place. It felt like the hotel was telling me like, you need Jesus. But you know, whatever, I kind of laughed about it. I shut the drawer, I walked around, I did some other stuff. And then later I came back around to that side of the room and the drawer was open again. And I was like, okay, that's a little creepy. And the weird thing is, like, I don't think I'm the kind of person who gets creeped out easily. And also I do things by myself a lot. Like a lot of times when I go to Disneyland, I'm by myself. But for some reason, staying in hotels by myself, like I always manage to creep myself out. Like I remember one time I was staying at a hotel and like it was one of the ones with the window like right on the little walkway. And I remember thinking to myself, like someone could be standing outside your window and you wouldn't even know. Like that's the stuff that goes through my head when I'm by myself at a hotel. So like this whole drawer scenario was like not ideal. Like I didn't enjoy that. And I remember telling Belle like as it was happening, like if I go to the park and come back and it's open, I'm gonna freak out because at that point it's gonna be like midnight. But thankfully it didn't open again. It stayed closed. Nothing else weird happened. But I wanted to include this story mostly for entertainment value. I don't legitimately think the Hilton Hotel is possessed. Or is it?